Well, here we are. Welcome to the Your Mother podcast. I'm Rachel, otherwise known as Your Mother. And if you're here because somebody sent you this, first of all, what bad decision are they recovering from today? This podcast exists because somewhere along the line, people stopped telling each other the truth. Everybody wants to be politically correct. Everybody wants to be nice. Everybody wants to tell you exactly what you want to hear. And meanwhile, your relationship's on fire. Your friend may secretly hate you. Your ex is still stalking your socials, and your family's driving you insane. And nobody wants to say it out loud. Well, I will, because somebody's gotta. That's what this podcast is. It's tough love. It's real talk. It's lessons learned the hard way. It's all the mistakes and disasters, red flags, train wrecks, victories, comebacks, and life experiences that nobody puts in the Instagram or highlights in their Facebook post. This is the conversation you have with your best friend at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're crying in the kitchen, eating shredded cheese directly from the bag because your life has completely gone to shit. I've been through some shit. You've been through some shit. Chances are, whatever you're dealing with right now, somebody else is too. So we're going to talk about it. All of it. The relationships, the marriages, divorce, bad friends, frenemies, family drama, co-parenting, money mistakes, healing, confidence, definitely starting over, setting boundaries, the absolutely unhinged things people do when they think there won't be any consequences for their actions. And yeah, we're absolutely going to talk about the stories people wish I would keep secret. Because one thing about me, if you handed me trauma, chaos, manipulation, lies, betrayal, gaslighting, or complete and utter fucking nonsense, uh, congratulations, you accidentally gave me podcast content. And before anybody gets nervous, this isn't a revenge podcast. This is a growth podcast. We're not here to destroy people. We're here to expose the lessons because every bad relationship teaches you something. Every betrayal teaches you something. Every heartbreak teaches you something. Every screw up definitely teaches you something. And if I had to learn these lessons the hard way, I might as well help somebody else avoid stepping on the same goddamn landmine. Now, here's what I need you to understand. This is a judgment-free zone. We've all dated the walking red flag. We've all ignored the obvious warning signs. We've all gone back to someone we absolutely should never have gone back to. We've all sent that text. You know the one, the text that should have stayed in the drafts and died in there forever. Yeah, been there. Well, we've all done dumb shit, and that's okay because we're human. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is growth. The goal is learning. The goal is becoming the version of yourself that no longer tolerates things that used to absolutely break you. And sometimes that growth starts with laughing at your own terrible decisions. So if you're looking for polished, perfect, professional advice, this may not be the podcast for you. But if you're looking for honesty, humor, a lot of smart ass sarcasm, a lot of accountability, and the kind of advice that sounds like it came from the feral auntie who loves you enough to tell you the absolute truth, welcome. You're home. And I want this to be interactive. I don't want this to just be me talking at you. I want your stories, your questions, your disasters, your, oh, I can't believe this actually happened moment. Your relationship problems, your friendship drama, your workplace insanity, your family chaos, all of it. That's why we created the private member only Yo Mother podcast Facebook group. You can join the group and anonymously submit questions. You can anonymously submit stories. You can share your feral moments. You can ask us for advice. Hey, your stories might even end up featured in future episodes. No judgment, no shame, just real people helping real people survive adulthood. Because let's be honest, most of us are just making this shit up as we go. So if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you subscribe, share, follow, leave a comment, and definitely tell your friends. Unless your friends are the problem. In that case, tell them to kick rocks and flip-flops. Let them accidentally find out about it. That'll be more fun. Thank you for giving this podcast a chance, and thank you for joining this absolutely fierce community. Now grab your coffee, your wine, some snackies, your emotional support vape, or whatever's helping you survive this week, because your mother's officially in session. Let's get into it. Now that you know what this podcast is about, I figured it's only fair to tell you who the hell I am. Because if you're going to listen to me give you advice every week, you should probably know what I've survived, at least a little bit of it, what I've screwed up, and why I have such a strong opinion about things we're going to talk about here. Spoiler alert, I didn't get here because life was easy. I got here because life absolutely repeatedly kicked me directly in the teeth, and somehow I kept getting back up. I grew up in a small, quiet town on the North Shore of Boston, a rich town, mind you. Okay. Now, before you picture some rich kid childhood with horses and tennis lessons, let me stop you right the fuck there. I was the poor kid, the dirt poor kid, the kid of a single mother fighting her way through working like a dog to raise two children alone while simultaneously trying to graduate college in her 30s. I learned some shit. I spent a lot of my childhood feeling like I didn't belong, like everybody else had a manual for life that I somehow never received. I was smart, but I was stubborn. I was independent, and I had absolutely no interest in doing things the way everyone expected me to. That combination usually gets you one of two things: success or trouble. And for me, I got both. I got in plenty of trouble as a teenager. I was the house everyone partied at. I was the one skipping school for the good time. I was the kid who thought she knew it all. Well, I ended up in an alternative high school, suspended, failing, and letting the good time overrule the importance of building my future or setting myself up for long term success, not just for short term comfort. That was an important lesson. Not because I was stupid, not because I didn't care, not because I simply couldn't do the work, but because I just thought I knew it all. So I left school my senior year, and not because of how horribly I was treated in the walls of those schools by staff, which, by the way, atrocious. I can't tell you how many times a teacher or the principal told me my smart ass mouth was never going to get me anywhere but jail or the unemployment line. Well, Mr. Kelly, look where my smart ass mouth got me. It was because I wanted to work. I wanted money. I wanted freedom. I wanted a different life. Definitely wanted a better life. And I was in a rush to get it. And I thought if I just worked hard enough, everything would magically fall into place. But it turns out that's not exactly how life works because while chasing independence, I was also stepping directly into a super abusive relationship. Well, actually, that started at 16 years old. Yeah, 16, let that sink in. When people ask why women stay in abusive relationships, I always have to laugh a little bit, not because it's funny, but because most people asking that question absolutely have no idea how abuse works. Nobody wakes up one morning and says, you know what sounds like fun? Emotional trauma for the next decade. That should happen slowly, one boundary at a time, one excuse at a time, one apology at a time. Until one day you wake up and you realize you built your life around surviving somebody else's absolutely bad abusive behavior. I spent 12 years trapped in that cycle. 12. Mhm. Police reports, courtrooms, fear, chaos, abuse, trying to leave, going back, trying again, failing, trying again, over and over and over. And when I finally got out, I thought that was the end of the lesson. Fini. I thought surviving that relationship meant I'd never tolerate that kind of treatment ever again. Wrong, girl, wrong. Because here's something nobody tells you. You can leave the relationship and still carry the wounds. And wounds have a funny way of making you choose familiar pain over unfamiliar peace. So after escaping one toxic relationship, I find myself in another one. Mhm. Different man, different problems, but definitely same lessons. Lies, cheating, manipulation, constant drama, and, oh, the worst part. Now let's sprinkle in a live-in, overbearing, controlling mother-in-law who was obsessed with appearing better than everybody else. Mhm. Appearances meant everything, especially to everyone outside of the home. Even if it was just in her little Delulu land mind, she was someone who would judge you loudly and criticize your every single move while simultaneously being an absolute train wreck herself. I know. Imagine an overaged Regina George, except instead of ruling a high school cafeteria, she ruled the house and your lives with a death grip. Gossip, criticism, triangulation, and a level of self importance that would have been impressive if it wasn't so draining and utterly exhausting to deal with it on a daily basis. That shit will change you. Over the years, I watched myself become less and less of who I was. I went silent. I did as much as I could to gain the approval of people I didn't even want to be like. And I fought to appear to be perfect to the outside world, just as she wanted, all while literally dying inside little by little, day by day. Before I knew it, my sparkle was completely gone, drained completely. I was a shell of who I had been. During that time, I had two incredible sons, and they became my sparkle. They became my reason for everything. They gave me my sparkle back. From then on, every decision, every sacrifice, every step forward, it was all for them. And for years, I kept trying to save something for them that honestly should have been left dead years prior. I wanted them to have a whole family, something I never got to have growing up. But I had to learn that an unhealthy family does way more damage than no family at all. Then one day I discovered something that changed everything. A betrayal I would never, ever move past. And people always ask, well, was that finally what made you leave? Honestly, hell fucking yes. Not because it was the first problem, not because it was the first disappointment, not because it was the first instance of disrespect or abuse, but because it was the moment I finally saw the situation for exactly what it was instead of what I pretended it was for appearance sake for so long. That was the day I stopped fighting to hold on to a version of my life that caused years of fucking trauma. And I finally started fighting for myself. But life wasn't finished teaching me lessons yet, because sometimes ending a chapter doesn't immediately bring peace. Sometimes it brings fallout and conflict, rumors, stalking, threats, harassment, courtrooms, more police stations, a whole lot of drama I never expected to be dealing with again. And in more ways than one, it felt strangely familiar. A bad replay to a movie I had seen before and I definitely didn't want to watch again. What I learned during that time was that moving on isn't just leaving a relationship, it's about learning how to protect your peace. When chaos keeps trying to find its way back to you, pivot. And trust me, that lesson would end up changing my life. During that time, in that crazy time period, I turned to TikTok to tell my story and offer advice and support to people living through the same hell as me. And if I'm being honest, I used it to kind of document what was happening in case something really bad happened to me. So my friends and family would have a way to prove what had been going on. And I went viral immediately. Make a TikTok, nobody will see it. 4 million views. And again and again and again, I went viral. I built a tribe of people who related to my story and my ability to get knocked down and still smile through it, to survive through laughter instead of crumbling under the weight of trauma. I know. Cracking jokes about situation most of you wouldn't be able to laugh at sounds absolutely disgusting and awful, but trauma has a funny way of giving you grief or giving you one hell of a dark sense of humor. Thankfully, I got the dark humor flavor. I'm cool with that. I learned to speak my truth, to share everything. And while I was dealing with all of that, I also discovered something else. Some of the people closest to me weren't even actually my friends, even the ones that I had known for over 30 years. You know, those type of friendships, the people who smile in your face and criticize you behind your back, the people who secretly enjoy watching you suffer because your pain makes them feel better about themselves. Losing those type of friends are life-changing, but looking back now, thank God. Thank God I left. Because sometimes you have to remove people from your life because they're no longer qualified to come where you're going. And every loss created room for something better, healthier relationships, healthier friendship, better boundaries, more self-respect, and eventually real love. The kind of love I honestly was convinced didn't exist. The kind that doesn't make you anxious. The kind that doesn't make you earn basic respect. The kind that doesn't feel like a giant fucking roller coaster. The kind that definitely doesn't hide burner phones or go on sneaky link vacations while you're home raising the kids. I'm just saying. For the first time in my life, I experienced what it felt like to be loved without conditions, and it changed everything. Not just how I viewed relationships, how I viewed myself. Because when you've spent years surviving in that chaos, peace can feel unfamiliar, almost uncomfortable, until one day you realize peace isn't boring. It's healthy, girl. And that's probably the biggest lesson also that life has taught me. You stop chasing people. You definitely stop chasing people who hurt you when you finally realize you deserve people who would do everything they can to make you happy. Today, my life isn't perfect. Nobody's life is, but it's mine. I survived things that should have broken me. I've rebuilt more times than I can count. I've learned lessons the hard way. I've made mistakes. I've trusted the wrong people. I've definitely loved the wrong people. I've ignored all the red flags. Red flags so bright they could have guided ships to goddamn shore. But I learned, and that's why this podcast exists. Not because I have all the answers, dude, but because I lived enough life to know what doesn't work. And if sharing those lessons helped even one person avoid years of pain, then every chapter was worth it. So if you've ever felt stuck, broken, heartbroken, lost, alone, or convinced life will absolutely never get better, stick around. Because I promise you something, the chapter you're in right now is not the whole story. And if there's one thing your mother knows, it's that the comebacks are always bigger than the setbacks. And if you're sitting there thinking, well, goddamn, Rachel, after all that, what happens next? Oh, honey, the fun part. Because now that you know where I came from, it's time for us to talk about the absolute circus that is life. Starting next episode, we're getting into the good stuff. We're talking about friends versus frenemies. You know, the women who call themselves your best friend while secretly hoping your life falls apart so they can feel better about theirs. The ones who clap when you're struggling and then absolutely disappear when you start winning. We're going to teach you how to spot them before they waste years of your life. Trust me, girl. Then we're diving into Liar, Liar, Crotch on Fire, a special shout out episode dedicated to the side piece pick me sisters of the world, the serial cheaters, the manipulators, the people who lie so much they should get goddamn reward points for it at this point. We're also going to cover one of my personal favorites, how to respond to rude, egocentric men who degrade women because their mommy issues lacked therapeutic intervention. It's obvious. We'll show you that you can fix that attitude with a little well-placed, petty, powerful rage bait. Simple questions you can ask to just knock them down a couple pegs. Because some men walk through life with the confidence of a billionaire, the emotional intelligence of a fucking toaster, and absolutely no business speaking to women the way they do. And sometimes a little verbal pest control is necessary with them. Then we've got how to be petty and pretty. Because maturity is important, sure, I get it, okay? But occasionally watching karma walk someone like a dog requires a fierce outfit and cute lip gloss. I'm just saying. And before anyone gets nervous, this isn't a mean girl advice. This is survival advice from women who learn lessons the hard way. Your mothers, your aunties, the women who have seen enough nonsense to write an entire goddamn textbook on it, especially on red flags. Call it the how-to on what not to do, or do as I say, not as I did. That's a good one. Every week you'll get real stories, real advice, real laughs, and probably at least one moment where you say, Jesus Christ, Rachel, you can't say that. Spoiler alert, yeah, I can. And I probably will. Loudly. But the best part, I don't want this to just be my stories. I want your stories too. That's why we created the private Your Mother Podcast Facebook group. Inside the group, you can anonymously submit questions, submit your dating disasters, your friendship betrayals, your family drama, your workplace nightmares, definitely your feral moments. Your I can't believe this actually happened stories. And trust me, some of the stories we already have coming in are absolutely unhinged. And we love it. We love you girls. You can comment anonymously there, and the secret is always safe with me. Shh, I'll never tell, sissy. So pop off and tell us all about it. The best ones will get featured in future episodes where me and the feral aunties will give you real life advice. So if you've ever dated a walking red flag, had a friend who belonged on the FBI watch list, or even been betrayed, played, ghosted, love bombed, gaslit, or just survived adulthood in general, you're going to fit right in here. So hit subscribe, join the Facebook group, bring your stories, bring your questions, definitely bring your chaos. And make sure you come back next week because your mother and the aunties have a lot to discuss. And honestly, we're just getting started. See you guys in the next episode.